Hello everyone. One of the guys who does fantastic videos that I enjoy watching every time he puts one on is Sam's Trains. And one of the pleasures is, for me, is that he does quite a bit of work showing off his Wrenn collection. He's got a nice Wrenn collection and he looks after them, and it does look as though they go very well. And in fact, he's getting quite good at making boxes. Anyway, I'm a Hornby DUBLO chap, and as you can see, 3-rail stuff. And it's one of his last videos. He did a series on the Wrenn 062 loco, modelled on an N2. And I thought, well, it would be interesting probably to expand on that, because the Wrenn story is only half. The original model was designed and produced by Hornby DUBLO, who were part of the Meccano group, way back in 1938. That's a long time ago. It's not far off 80 years. It's 78 years ago. And as Sam says, the model isn't particularly well detailed, but by the standards of 1938, it was fantastic. And they have stood the test of time. It was made from 38 all the way through to 1964 by Hornby DUBLO. There was a slight gap during the war of 5 years. So all in all, Hornby were producing that model for 21 years. At the end of Hornby DUBLO's reign, the moulds eventually finished up with a firm called Wrenn, who did a superb job. They continued manufacturing them. They used a different internal motor, but nonetheless it was virtually the same engine, and that carried on, and it was certainly being sold by Wrenn right up until the time of their demise in 1992. How long they actually manufactured them for, I'm not sure, but one would assume certainly around about 1990. So the actual model has survived in use and production much longer than the original real thing. Now let's just go back and start at the beginning. 1938, they came out with that chassis. Some of you will have heard the expression horseshoe motor. That is a horseshoe motor. Do you notice there's no, in the magnet, there's no block, as in fact there would be on that one, which is a later model. That's got a block magnet there. This one hasn't. It's just one continuous strip of very hard steel, which magnetises quite well and provides the full magnetic force that is required. That was produced pre-war, 1938, 39, I think a few were made in 1940, and production commenced again immediately after the war, or sometime after the war, 1947 I think the first ones were produced, and they carried on with that motor until 1949. Then they changed over to this one, the motor that Hornby DUBLO fans will recognise instantly. It's very similar to the horseshoe magnet. There's a block in there. That material is easily remagnetized, and I know Sam's got a remagnetizer, so have I, and if any of you have got those models, send them off to Sam or me and you can get them remagnetized and they're as good as new. There are a few other differences though. If we go back to the early one, first of all, can you see the couplings? Pre-war coupling, post-war coupling. The pre-war couplings were very good. They were a bit prone to snapping off because they were made of thin steel, and that if they bent more than once or twice, straightening them out would cause them to crack and drop off. But they did their purpose. They coupled up automatically. However, they didn't uncouple automatically, and that was certainly a bit of a disadvantage. Whereas this one, the post-war one, was manufactured by a firm called Pico, Pritchard Engineering Company, down in Devon. Pico still exists and they still make a lot of model railway stuff. But the original Mr. Pritchard, who owned the company way back just after the war, he designed that and sold it to Hornby DUBLO, or leased it to Hornby DUBLO or whatever, and very successful, still is very successful. There are a few other minor differences. If I hold that up to the light, we'll look at the rear pony. On this one, it's rather thin and fragile and hollow in the middle. This post-war one is solid, more robust and much stronger built. Being heavier, of course, it gives the thing more traction. The whole unit, the post-war job, is heavier than the pre-war one, so you get much more traction with the newer model than you do with the old one. But they both go well, and it's nice to have them. This particular pre-war one isn't mine. It belongs to that body, which is a genuine pre-war body. I'm not sure about the paintwork. I rather think it's original, but I can't be dead sure of that. At the front, on the buffer, it's a straight line at the bottom of the buffer beam. There's a hole there where I presume a vacuum pipe should go, or steam pipe. But notice that the red block beam at the front is rectangular. On the post-war ones, when they fitted this Pico-type coupling, they had to cut a bit out because the coupling wouldn't work. So if I can hold it like that, I don't know whether you can see it, but there is a cut-out bit in that buffer beam to allow for that movement. So that's another difference. And finally, they also had very large porthole windows at the back, whereas the later ones had much smaller portholes. And you can see that, hopefully you can. So another difference. In the post-war period, of course, the company models, the LMS, LNER, Southern and Great Western were eventually discontinued with the nationalisation of British Railways. Hornby had to follow suit and they went into BR colours. And in the 1950s they came out with that colour, BR line black. That's an early one, it's 1952, 53-ish. And I've had that loco from new. I think it was bought in 1953, coronation year. It's an early gloss coloured one as opposed to the more common matte one, and it runs very well indeed. I enjoy using it. I might run it round later, you can have a look at it. But there was one final change that Hornby made, and I'm going to show you this red one. This one, by the way, I don't know who's done the repainting because the painting isn't original, but I bought it more or less at scrap value price. It didn't work, but I wanted it particularly because it's got coal in the tender, which was a very late addition for Hornby DUBLO. And originally I was going to strip it down and repaint it, but I suppose in a way the LMS red and black is sort of it's part of the history of the model, and I'll probably leave it as it is. If you'd like to write in with some suggestions of how to paint it and what livery, I'll certainly listen, and if I do decide to repaint it, then I'll let you know and you can see it running around in its new colours. But that's all for the future. Okay, now what I think we ought to do next is run a few of them round. It's a bit tedious listening to me yakking and talking all the while. It'd be far more fun to see them going. So in a minute or two I'm going to stop and have a cup of tea, and then we'll run some round. Okay folks, we'll bring back the newest loco I'm going to use today. That's the BR line black one, and we'll reverse it out now, and it will come to the outside line and pull a rake of red coaches, and reverse back. And wait there. And forward. And stop there for a moment. And reverse back. We stop there. quick hitch. Pull these 5 wagons out, 5 coaches out. Don't know why I keep saying wagons. And then bring them forward into the station. Okay, so that loco, if you remember at the beginning, I showed it to you. It was the first one I had for myself. It's a gloss painted one, around 1952-53. It gets a lot of use and it still runs as good as ever. But it's going to wait there for a moment, and then afterwards I will take it to the other end of the train, run it around the loop so that it's facing in the right direction, and it'll be able to pull the train out forwards. But next, let's take out another train. Okay, the next loco will be the LNER black one at the back there, and that's going to be hitched up to a rake of tankers. There we go. And wait there. And pause for a moment, change the points, and back onto the tankers. You see, my commentary isn't very good. A big learning curve. Okay, and that loco will now wait there, whilst we go to the green loco, which is going to come out of the siding and then back up onto what we've got, 5 Cresley coaches. So here we go. Now this one is early post-war horseshoe magnet motor. Goes quite nicely. And so back we go. A little bit growly, bit of a noisy loco. And we're coupled, we hope, if I keep the camera in the right place. And there we go. And that one you can go all the way round back into the station. Here she comes. Okay folks, back to the first engine we moved, the one in BR black, line black. That's going to reverse all the way around the track to hitch onto the front of this rake of coaches. And here we go. reversing nice and gently, and then getting closer and click. So now we'll run round the green one, which, if you remember, I mentioned at the beginning, is 1948, 47, 48, maybe early 49. It's got the horseshoe magnet, it runs superbly. The next one, the black LNER, is a little bit later, 49, 50-ish. It's got the ordinary Alnico magnet, the block magnet, which most people are used to. And then finally, over here on the left, at the end of the head of a rake of red suburban wagons, coaches, we have the BR one. So we'll get them going now. Come back to the beginning, and away we go. That's one going. And now number 2 with a load of tankers. The LNER 1948 model. And she goes. And finally come down to the rake of coaches. And away we go. Bit of a jerky one there. You're not the only one, Sam, who makes locos jerk. And there we go, 3 locos going on. I reckon they look okay, they appeal to me, but they are old fashioned. Now we'll let them run round for a moment or two, have a good look at them, enjoy them, and then, as promised at the beginning, I will run the pre-war loco. The one with the horseshoe magnet, 1938 or 9. Here come the tankers. Okay, when the BR1 comes round and into the station, we'll stop it, and then we'll do the pre-war loco. Let it have a run around. There we go. Okay folks, and so for the finale we'll include the pre-war horseshoe magnet motor loco, which is actually 77 or 78 years old. Here we go. And it goes backwards. Got the controller going right way. And there she goes. A bit of history going around there. See the couplings, which are totally different to the modern ones. I'll get down to it. There we go. So there's a bit of history of the 062 all the way from Hornby DUBLO to Wrenn. I wonder if the guys who made it in the factory in Liverpool could ever imagine that 70 odd years after its manufacture it would still be going. There she is. And so ends the story of the Hornby DUBLO 062s. See you again soon. Now, just for the hell of it, I've had an idea. You can see here there's a body shell of an 062 Hornby DUBLO, which has had the paint removed. It's been stripped down to bare metal, and I have in fact added some primer and put the handrails back on again. But if anybody or all of you care to nominate a colour to paint it in, I will gladly do it, and I will put it back on the track and you can watch it going around at a later video. I don't mind what colour you might choose. If you wish to, it can be sky blue pink, it can have green and purple spots, it can be striped, it can be anything you want it to be. So leave details in the messages, and the one that's got the most votes is the colour that I will do it in. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing your comments. Bye.